Sanctioned by the United Nations, the Global Defense Initiative has one goal: eliminate multinational terrorism in an effort to preserve freedom. The Brotherhood of Nod, an ancient and secret society, maintains strong ties with most global terrorist organizations. Commanded by this man, known only as Cain, Nod's long-term goals are unknown. However, recent activities include expansionary behavior into disenfranchised nations, high-volume investment in global trade markets, and aggressive manipulation of international mass media. These efforts are suspected to be funded by Nod's access to vast Tiberium deposits. Tiberium continues to confound the scientific community, soaking up ground minerals and soil nutrients like a sponge. The end result of this unique leaching process creates the formation of Tiberium crystals, rich in precious metals and available for collection with a minimum of mining expense.
Hey guys, so 4 months ago, and I can't believe it was 4 months ago, where did this year go really, but I made a video after EA Play saying that basically EA thinks you're dumb because they put the final nail in the coffin of such a beloved franchise, and basically saying that Command & Conquer deserves nothing more than to be turned into a schlocky, hollow and frankly insulting mobile game. It was disgusting, and worth mentioning as well that if you happen to be an RTS lover, Warcraft 3 Reforged was announced by Blizzard recently, so that's something else that's around. But now, as if like a phoenix rising from the ashes after having combusted and turned into just dust before our very eyes, Command & Conquer is set up to return to us as a remaster. Now this is positive for multiple reasons if this potentially turns out the way that I'm hopeful it might. Now firstly, this isn't a bunch of new guys just being designated the task of returning CNC, and also Red Alert. Developer Petroglyph Games are handling this remaster, and you think, well, who the hell is that? Well, apparently they're actually largely staffed by former Westwood team members. Now for anybody not knowing, Westwood was the original developer of CNC. Now more exciting is that also the original co-creator, Joe Bostic, and their lead programmer, Steve Toole, are going to be working on the project. Now Joe Bostic was quoted as saying, "I'm looking forward to re-engaging with the fans of the series as we bring the Command & Conquer franchise back to its roots of easy to play, difficult to master. We're eager to provide an experience that takes advantage of enhanced connectivity, graphics features and other technology improvements that weren't back around in 1995. As we begin to craft the plan that will kick off the development phase of the project, I'm eager to hear what fans are looking for. If you could turn back the clock, what would you have wanted in the original CNC games? We'll be starting development soon, so now is the time to let your voice be heard." Now, you know I'm normally pretty skeptical about the phrase easy to play and hard to master. This is, to me, usually denoting games which are basically designed with a lower skill bar to make new players feel comfortable, while actually rarely progressing beyond the most basic level of skills, as they have no incentive or challenge to do so. Unlike a title like, say, Postscriptum or Squad, which throw you right in at the deep end and basically say you need to skill up or you're going to get smashed. However, I will give the benefit of the doubt here, because knowing my demographic here on the channel, I know that many of you will have been around and played CNC from its inception through to later titles. Now, knowing that RTS games are very much about a solid learning curve for players, but are actually pretty straightforward to understand the core principles, maybe that modern term that I usually equate to delivering a kind of milquetoast product is actually more accurate in this context. The next thing is about how they have framed these title returns as remasters, not remakes. This for me is very exciting, even though Don't sound that excited, but that's just me. Now, some of you will remember I spoke about this exact definition a while back on Below the Line. Now, this is where I said that developers often were scared of just doing a remaster of a game that got everything right first time, and in somehow feeling that they needed to add new things or put their own mark on it. They ended up destroying what was there in the process. And, you know, it's where I get sick of people saying things are like a reskin. You know, oh, it's just a reskin, it's just a reskin. That can be a good thing, you fucking idiots. Like, just reskinning a game, like giving it a refreshing, can be a good thing, because sometimes an original game didn't need anything pissing around with it just so that you feel like somehow the developers have done their work. You know, sometimes it's okay to say, you know, this game is really good, all we're going to do is just refresh it and deliver you that same quality experience, or just expand maybe in terms of content on what was originally there. That is fine sometimes. I would liken it to hilarious but depressing attempts by amateurs who try to, say, repair ancient paintings on churches around the world and then in the process basically destroy them. This is what devs do when they take a game that truly deserves just a pure remaster. Just give it what it needs, a refresh. Don't go remaking it and messing around with all the stuff which actually made it work in the first place. So in announcing this stuff is being worked on, the developer taking the time and thought to make it clear that this title is a remaster, not a remake, to me is a very good indication that they understand people don't want them to start pissing around with these classics. What people simply want is the original product, cleaned up with the graphics, cleaned up functionality, and maybe, as he said in his quote, enhanced connectivity and other tech improvements. So the concern that I have is where he's asking the community what they would want, because asking a community what they want is always a double-edged sword, because where it can end up with potentially very big rewards, if it's a feature that the community largely do want and it is a good thing, that can obviously be positive. However, if it's one of those features that maybe just a section of the community want but happen to be very, very vocal about, but that's never been implemented and never tested before, this doesn't always translate to being an automatic win, and this is the kind of thing which could basically, you know, cut your hamstrings. What I will say to you guys is that I feel very positive, though, about this, because it's just my inclination. You know, it's genuinely surprising to me to see them take this route. It's really surprising to me, considering that EA seem to have just, like, written off CNC. Now, I suppose you could argue that they look at this as, like, a safe, nostalgic win for them, because they're not messing anything around. They know that there will be an audience there. But I thought CNC as a series was very dead, just literally dead after that mobile game. But now they're resurrecting it like some kind of insane reanimators. But the other question is there an audience for this style of RTS these days, when you consider that many titles, many old genres of titles and modes and so on have kind of been going downhill? Like, we know that kind of arena shooters have tried to be brought back and they have failed. Does this kind of RTS style of game still have a market? I think it has a market, but is it enough of a market that they'll want to then go on and make other stuff? Should they even go on and make other stuff, or should they just do these remasters and then say, leave it at that? I really don't know, to be honest. So, you know, tell me what you think about this down below, about how it's a remaster, not a remake, and what other titles you want to see have this same treatment of a remaster. More importantly, if you have ideas on features for CNC that you want them to take into consideration, tell me in as much detail as you want below, and I'll see if I can't find someone to contact and get them over to the studio. As always, if you enjoyed, drop a like, helps me out, helps the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.